there are reports that the Bulls or the Milwaukee Bucks should try to see if a flip of Kyle Kuzma for Patrick Williams would benefit both teams. Should the Bulls even be interested? We'll talk about it. What is going on, Bulls Nation? So we got two players that both teams don't want. Should a change of scenery benefit both teams and players? Now let's talk about Kyle Kuzma potentially going to the Bulls. Well, it's not it's not a secret that Patrick Williams is the unwanted Bulls right now. You know, the guy signed for 5 years, 90 million contract, which, you know, at the offset of that, we were like 18 mil per year. You know, it's not that bad. By the time it's the fifth year, it's going to be a mid-level, which is closer, right? Right now, the mid-level is 14.5 million. So it is not far off from a mid-level exception. With that being said, Patrick Williams is anything but mid-level at this point. I mean, Nikhil Alexander Walker signed for almost same amount, and I'd rather have him any day of the week. Now, with that being said, Kyle Kuzma, a guy that was traded to Milwaukee Bucks last season for a last-ditch effort, to get some production out of that spot, because we all know Chris Middleton was kind of like dwindling down. So they were hoping that he'll be a scoring punch. And, he has some moments, but for the most part, Kyle Kuzma is what he is at this point. A guy that could score in bunches and sometimes would overshoot, tons of confidence. As, a versatile forward, can play both 4 and 3, can run the floor, can shoot the 3. With that being said, he has so many bad habits. He came from the DC, he came from that Washington team that he'll just chuck it up. I don't know, man. I would like Patrick Williams off of this Bulls team, but not that desperate. At least with Patrick Williams, you have this sense of maybe he was injured last year. Maybe he can turn it around. At the very least, Patrick Williams is not gonna, just create commotion out there. He'll be unproductive, but he's not gonna, make a scene. He's not gonna disrupt the locker room. I'm not saying Kyle Kuzma will do that, but we've seen his, pre-court fits. I don't know how kind of player he is, outside of that. But he seems like the type of guy who would rub people the wrong way because he just shoots the ball too damn much. He'll just chuck it up. He, like I said earlier, he got some bad habits. He's just a black hole. You might pass him the ball. And look, earlier the other guy was looking for a lob and he just did a floater. It's like, and also the fact that he plays almost similar to Matas Buzelis and also height-wise, and Noah Essengay, which is I'm not in favor of, because if he starts shooting well, I'm afraid Billy Donovan's going to put him in the game instead of those two young guns. That is going to take away minutes from them. At least Patrick Williams can defend, at the very least. And mind you, this is how bad I don't want Kyle Kuzma on this team, that I'm willing to sacrifice 2 more years of Patrick Williams than to see the Bulls play with Kyle Kuzma. Maybe I'm being a little bit unfair to Kyle Kuzma here, but the reputation around the league, he's never been a winning player. He's just, we got some young guys here, especially playing the same position. I don't want those habits rubbing off of them. I just don't want it. Like I said, at least Patrick Williams is just unproductive. The worst he can do is give you 0. And at least he's on the bench, maybe not causing any commotion out there. With Kyle Kuzma, I just fear that his habits are going to rub off with these young guys. At the same time, he's not a winning player. He you put him in a winning situation in Milwaukee, got some bad games, almost unplayable. I don't know. I'd rather see Patrick Williams here for 4 more years than see Kyle Kuzma for 2. I mean, if they make the trade, I'm hoping for the best. but I'm not too optimistic about it, nor am I excited about this prospect. Like I said, with Patrick, maybe we can chalk it up that he was injured for the most part of last year, and without those guys, maybe he'll have a slightly better role on the team. Maybe like a bench player coming off the bench as the number 3 would suit him well. I'd rather fool myself telling, those kind of things and making myself believe in that. Like maybe he'll turn it around, then watch Kyle Kuzma chuck up threes after threes after threes. And I'm just not a big fan. I'm not a big fan. But let me know in the comments. Maybe I'm being unfair to Kyle Kuzma here. Maybe those who are more familiar with this game, but I've seen enough of him in the Lakers. But let me know. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.